Hey guys, coming at you with the deck profile I promised a while back. It's Koa'ki Meiru's. This is probably the best build you're going to see around as far as this deck goes. And it's actually fairly competitive. It can do a lot of things, but the build I'm showing you is a Toolbox Swarm variant. So yeah. First up, you got your 3 Knights. And these are I won't say the boss monster of the deck, but definitely one of the best. What he can do is, by revealing a core, an iron core from your hand, you can summon from your deck any of the Koa'ki monsters level 4 or lower. So, essentially, you can pick any of them, and they all do something different. Crusader recycles, Wall, Guardian, and Sandman negate spells, traps, and monsters effect respectively. And essentially what it gives is the swarming toolbox part of the deck. You can pick out whatever you need at the time, and yeah, he's just a wonderful card, and he probably makes the deck 10 times faster. Next up, you have your 3 Crusaders. 1, 2, 3. And this is a 1900 beater, and what he can do is he can, when he destroys a monster on the field, you can add a Koa'ki card to your hand. So whether or not that's a core or a monster, it essentially allows you to recycle a lot of your rock types that negate spell traps and monster effects by tributing himself. So he's really good because it helps you keep hand advantage and allows you to recycle what you need. And next up, you have Koa'ki Bergzak. He is your big beater in the deck. And what he can do is, he's 2000 attack first off, and what you're allowed to do is, if you destroy a monster, you can attack again once in a row. So you can run over something, attack for game, attack 2 of their monsters, clear their field really fast. Yeah, he just beats things up. And now on for your rocks. You got your 2 Guardians, your 2 Sandmans, and your 2 Walls. So basically, Guardian negates monster effects, Sandman negates traps, and Wall, which came out recently, can negate spells. And what are great about them is they allow you to put them on the field. They can negate the spells, traps, and the monster's effect, keep your opponent down, and they're fast enough so that you can negate stuff like Book of Moon. You can negate Gores with Guardian once the token comes out. So yeah, they just keep things negated, and they can be recycled with Crusader. So you can constantly negate something on the field. Then you got your 2 boulders. These are searchers of the deck. When they're destroyed by battle, you can add a Koa'ki core or a monster to your hand. Good stuff. And last but not least, as far as monsters, you got your 2 Rook Lords. Now, they're not really the boss monsters of the deck, because most of the time you're not going to be using them until the very end. Because when you tribute, you can tribute him with 1 Koa'ki, and by removing from play a Koa'ki in your graveyard, you can destroy 2 cards on the field. He's kind of like Geysaris, but probably not as good. Still, he does what he does good work in this deck because he's a good game ender. And for your spells, you got your 3 cores. So yeah, basically you need this card in the deck because you're either gonna have to discard this card to keep a Koa'ki on the field, or you have to use Knight's effect, so it is a necessity. And the secondary effect of this card, which is really useful, is what you can do is discard a Koa'ki monster from your hand and add this card back to your hand if it's in the graveyard. That's really useful, considering the fact that you can recycle Knight's effect a lot now, and you can just dump it in the graveyard and use it for later. It just does a lot of work. Now, next card is, this is probably what makes the deck. 3 Core Overclocks. Now, what this card does is it seems simple enough, but it can get really disgusting. It adds 500 attack to Koa'ki Meiru's on the field. It doesn't really have a cost otherwise. But the second effect is where it can just become really broken. You can discard a core from your hand, and now all Koa'ki Meiru's on the field gain 1000 attack in addition to the 500 they already have. So your Urnites and Bergzaks become 3500 beaters, and so do your other monsters, which become 3400 beaters by doing that. And that will run over just about anything, and you can have multiple of these on the field. So if you have two, you can discard twice, and they already have 1000, 2000, 3. That's 3000 attack. That's 5000 attack for each Koa'ki Meiru on the field. If you have another one, that's 6500 attack by discarding all three of your cores, or just recycling them, and that's the OTK of the deck, basically. So let's set up a scenario here. Let's say you have an Urnite and a Bergzak. So you used a core. So let's set this up. You used the core, you revealed it, you summoned Bergzak. Now you put your core overclock on the field. You have this. You still have the core in your hand because you only revealed it to special summon with Urnite. You discard the core, and now both of these have 3500 attack, and he can attack twice if he destroys a monster. So you run over whatever they have, then you attack for 3500, and then you attack again for 3500 with Urnite, and that's 7000 damage. Now that can be an OTK if whatever you ran over with Bergzak was in attack position and was weak enough. So you can already see why this deck can quickly OTK, because it only needs 4 cards that you're already running at 3. Actually, you only need 3 technically, because all you need is an Urnite, a core, and a core overclock. Next up, 2 Koa'ki rings. Now, this is almost like Ring of Destruction. 3 Koa'ki rings, my bad. Now, this card is your simple 1-for-1 destruction, but it's really similar to Ring of Destruction, because when you destroy that monster, both players take 1000 damage. So you play it, you reveal a core, and then you destroy whatever's on their field. And then both players take 1000. So it helps do damage, and it helps clear stuff that may be bigger than your Koa'ki Meiru's. Next up, 2 core transport units. This is to add your cores. You just discard a card from your hand as the cores. And then you got some staples. You got Monster Reborn and Dark Hole. Now for the traps. You have your 3 core lusters. This card right here negates spells and traps. It's a counter card, and all you need to do is reveal a core from your hand. So it's basically no cost. And it just it always just does a lot of work for me. It really does. You can just constantly negate their solemns, negate all their big plays with it, negate their books. It's a quick play trap card, so it's faster. It's a counter trap card. Just does work. Next up, 2 Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. Again, this card I don't see a lot of people playing, but it just does so good in this metagame. All level 6 or higher monsters on the field cannot activate their effects, or they cannot attack either. So no effects, no attacking, and if it's a special summon level 6 or higher, which means my Rook Lords would still work if this card was on the field, you can basically shut them down if they were pushing for game by playing this. So yeah, definitely probably the other wonderful card in this deck. Also, there's no cost to it. Next up, Negathon Core Panel. It's basically just War Chariot, but you need to have a Koa'ki Meiru on the field, and you have to have a core in the grave. And then some staples, Mirror Force and Torrential Tribute. Yes, I was thinking of running Solemn, but after I saw my trap lineup, I realized that it's basically negating everything, and I don't need to be paying another half of my life points just to negate one more thing. Considering the fact that my back row is probably already going to have Core Luster, a Core Panel, the Grave, the Super Ancient Organism, it all works. So, yeah, that's the deck. Rate, comment, subscribe. If you have any suggestions, put them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.